It wasn't locked. That's the part people always ask when I tell it. Why wasn't the drawer locked? As if a tiny brass key could have saved a marriage. It wasn't locked because it wasn't supposed to matter. It was just a drawer. A narrow top drawer in the old writing desk in our guest room. Bills, stationery, loose batteries, junk. That's what Daniel thought was in it. That's what I let him think. And for almost a year, that was enough. Until one Sunday afternoon, he opened a drawer I never wanted him to. And everything ended. Affairs never begin looking like affairs. At least not the way people imagine. No dramatic hotel lobbies, no instant betrayal. Mine started with secrecy that felt harmless. A coworker named Evan. Too much talking, too much emotional honesty. Then messages. Then gifts. Then the kind of intimacy you pretend isn't betrayal because it hasn't crossed some arbitrary line yet. Until it has. The drawer started because of the letters. That sounds ridiculous now. Letters. Who has an affair in letters anymore? But Evan wrote things. Notes folded into envelopes. Pages after business trips. Things too dangerous for phones. Things I should have destroyed. But didn't. Because part of me wanted proof I was wanted. And vanity makes people keep evidence. At first, I hid them in a sweater box. Then, in books. Then eventually in the desk drawer beneath old tax folders. Buried. Safe. I thought. There were other things, too. A bracelet. A hotel receipt I'd forgotten to throw away. A photo strip from a conference bar. Tiny artifacts of selfishness. A museum of bad decisions. And I told myself Daniel never used that desk. Which was true. Until it wasn't. That Sunday started ordinary. Coffee. Laundry. Football humming in the background. The illusion of marriage. Daniel was looking for an old warranty for a printer. I barely listened when he said he'd check the desk. Because panic didn't hit immediately. It came in a delayed wave. A second too late. Like lightning before thunder. The desk. The drawer. The letters. My blood turned cold. I walked toward the guest room too fast. Too obviously. And Daniel noticed. He noticed everything. Relax, he laughed. I'm just looking for paperwork. And then he opened the drawer. It happened in slow motion in memory. The scrape of wood. The rustle of envelopes shifting. His hand pausing. Lifting one. Seeing my name in someone else's handwriting. Turning toward me. What's this? Simple words. Terrible words. I still remember trying to smile. That doomed reflex people have when catastrophe arrives. Oh, old stuff. Weak. Instantly weak. Daniel slid a letter free. Opened it. Read. Silence. And I watched his face change. Not explode. Collapse. Which was worse. He read a line aloud. I still think about the hotel room after midnight. Then looked at me. No accusation, just disbelief. Hotel room? And in that moment, I knew there was no version where this could be talked away. I lied anyway. Of course I lied. Said it was fantasy writing. A joke. Old nonsense. Daniel didn't even respond. He opened the drawer wider and saw the rest. The stack. The bracelet. The receipt. The photo strip. Every hidden thing exposed by a few extra inches of wood. There's a sound I'll never forget. Not yelling, not crying. Just the small sound he made under his breath. Like someone hit in the chest. That hurt more than rage. How long? He asked. And somehow that was the cruelest question. Because duration makes betrayal heavier. A mistake can be impulsive. A year is architecture, I answered. Months. Maybe more. The truth came in fragments. Ugly fragments. He kept asking. Was it physical? Yes. Did he come here? No. Was I going to tell him? Silence. That answer told him enough. Then Daniel asked something I still hear. Why keep the letters? And I had no defense, because that question exposed something uglier than cheating. Sentiment, attachment, treasuring betrayal. There is no noble explanation for that. He sat at the desk holding one letter, reading pieces, little pieces of me I never meant him to see. Private language, pet names, memories, every line another cut. I wanted him to stop reading, but I had forfeited that right. Then he opened one envelope and a Polaroid slipped out. I had forgotten it was there. Forgotten. That word ruins lives. Forgotten receipt, forgotten towel, forgotten photograph. And there we were. Me and Evan smiling into a tiny square of proof. Daniel stared at it, then set it down very carefully. Too carefully. The carefulness of someone containing devastation. He said quietly, "You didn't just betray me. You archived it." And I broke. Because he was right. I had made keepsakes of dishonesty, and hearing it spoken plainly was unbearable. I started apologizing. The desperate flood of apologies people make when consequence arrives. I was confused. It meant nothing. I ended it. I love you. Words collapsing under their own obvious inadequacy. Daniel stood, walked to the window. Long silence. Then, I could maybe survive finding out once. But you hid a second life in a drawer in our house. Our house. That phrase hit hardest. Because betrayal contaminates spaces. And he felt it. That night he slept in the guest room. I heard him moving. Didn't sleep at all. Around 3 a.m., I found the letters stacked on the kitchen table. Every one of them. Like evidence in a trial. I sat there crying over paper, thinking how absurd it was that paper could weigh this much. In the morning, he said he was leaving for a while, packed quietly. No theatrics, no slam doors. That almost made it worse. Calm means conclusion. At the door, he said, "You know what hurts most? Not that you loved someone else, that you preserved it." Then left. And I knew something irreversible had happened. I called Evan that night. Ended it. He said, "So what now?" And hearing how small he sounded compared to the wreckage around me made me sick. I had risked everything for someone who suddenly sounded ordinary, disposable. Daniel agreed to meet weeks later. I begged for counseling, for repair, for something. He listened, then asked, "If I hadn't needed a printer warranty, would you still be lying to me?" I couldn't answer, because the answer was yes. And we both knew it. That was the real ending, not the drawer. That question, because some truths destroy even the hope of rebuilding. The divorce was final 11 months later. Paperwork, signatures, silence. A life reduced to administrative procedure. I kept thinking something dramatic should mark an ending. But endings are often bureaucratic, quiet, which somehow feels crueler. Years later, I found an old desk at an antique store. Same narrow top drawer, same brass pole. And I had to walk out. Because grief brands objects. Some people see furniture. I see collapse. People imagine relationships break over grand discoveries. Sometimes they break because someone opens a drawer looking for paperwork and finds an entire hidden life. A stack of letters, a forgotten receipt, a photograph too small to matter, until it does. And what haunts me most is how ordinary it was. No trap, no detective work, no dramatic exposure, just a man looking for a warranty, opening the wrong drawer, or maybe the right one. Because maybe truth was always waiting there, under tax folders, under excuses, under every lie I told myself, waiting for wood to slide open, waiting to be found. because he opened a drawer I never wanted him to. And from that moment, everything unraveled.